Hello everyone, and welcome back to our cozy little corner on Baker Street. It was the second morning after Christmas, and I had called upon my friend Sherlock Holmes with the intention of wishing him the compliments of the season. He was lounging upon the sofa in a purple dressing gown, a pipe rack within his reach upon the right, and a pile of crumpled morning papers, evidently newly studied, near at hand. Beside the couch was a wooden chair, and on the angle of the back hung a very seedy and disreputable hard felt hat, much the worse for wear, and cracked in several places. A lens and a forceps lying upon the seat of the chair suggested that the hat had been suspended. There for the purpose of examination, I suppose, said I, that this is some relic of a client you've been helping. Not at all, he replied. It belongs to the commissionaire Peterson. He found it, along with a fine Christmas goose, after a little street scuffle. The owner ran off, and Peterson, being an honest fellow, brought both the goose and the hat to me to find their rightful owner, Holmes, then proceeded to deduce a remarkable amount of information about the hat's owner. He is highly intellectual, Holmes began, and was once well-to-do, but has fallen on hard times. He is middle-aged, has grizzled hair, which has been cut within the last few days, and he uses lime. Furthermore, he is a man who leads a sedentary life, goes out little, is out of training entirely. His wife has ceased to love him. ... I burst out laughing. My dear Holmes, you're joking. On the contrary, Watson. Everything is perfectly logical. He explained how the hat's size suggested a large brain. Its quality spoke of past prosperity. The dust on it showed it hadn't been brushed for weeks, indicating his wife's lost affection. Just then, the door flew open, and in rushed Peterson the commissionaire, his face flushed with excitement. The goose! Mr. Holmes, the goose! He shouted. What about it? Has it come back to life and flown out the kitchen window? Holmes chuckled. See here, sir, see what my wife found in its crop. He held out his hand, and there, in the center of his palm, was a brilliant, scintillating blue stone. It sparkled with an internal fire, a gem of incredible beauty. I took it and weighed it in my hand. It was the size of a bean, pure and radiant. Holmes sat up, a look of seriousness replacing his amusement. By Jove, Peterson, this is a treasure indeed. I believe I know what this is. This is the Countess of Morca's blue carbuncle, the very stone that was reported stolen from her hotel room just a few days ago. The newspapers had been full of the story. A plumber named John Horner had been arrested for the theft, though the stone itself had not been found. Now, it had mysteriously appeared inside a Christmas goose. The question was, how did it get there? Holmes placed an advertisement in the evening papers, hoping the owner of the hat and goose would come forward. Soon enough, a tall, flustered man named Henry Baker arrived. Holmes tested him immediately. Is this your hat, Mr. Baker? Yes, sir, that is undoubtedly my hat. We ate the goose, Holmes said, watching him keenly. We could offer you a fresh one to replace it. Mr. Baker was delighted. Oh, thank you, sir. You are too kind. Show no interest in the goose's remains, only relief at having his old hat back. It was clear he knew nothing of the jewel. After he left, Holmes turned to me. So, Watson, the trail begins. We must trace the goose back to its origin. Our investigation led us from a pub called the Alpha Inn to a stall in Covent Garden Market, where a seller named Breckenridge was initially very stubborn. He refused to tell us where he got his geese. But Holmes, with his clever wit, made a wager that Breckenridge couldn't lose. And soon we had the name of the farmer who supplied him, a Mrs. Oakeshott, in Brixton. As we were about to leave, we heard a commotion. A small rat-faced man was desperately pleading with Breckenridge about the geese. Holmes pulled the man aside. Can I help you? He asked gently. The man, whose name was James Ryder, was the head attendant at the hotel where the carbuncle was stolen. Under Holmes's piercing gaze and masterful questioning, Ryder's composure crumbled. He confessed everything. He had stolen the jewel and framed the plumber Horner. Panicked, he had gone to his sister's, Mrs. Oakeshott the goose farmer, tore her flock of geese and had a brilliant idea. He forced the gem down the throat of a large white goose with a black bar on its tail. But, when he returned to collect it, his sister had already sold the flock to Breckenridge. the goose he chose was not the one he intended. And the precious carbuncle ended up on Henry Baker's dinner table. Or rather, not quite. Thryder was terrified, knowing he had sent an innocent man to prison. Holmes listened to his pathetic story, a strange look in his eyes. It was Christmas, a time for forgiveness. "Get out," Holmes said sternly to the trembling man. Ryder scrambled to his feet and fled into the night. "Holmes," I cried, "you're letting him go. You're compounding a felony." Holmes smiled and stoked the fire. "Perhaps I am, Watson. But this man won't stray again. He is too frightened. And sending him to prison would only make him a hardened criminal. Besides, the case against poor Horner will collapse now. I am not paid to boo the deficiencies of the law. I believe I may have just saved a soul this Christmas. And with that, my dear Watson, let's turn our attention to another case." And so concluded the strange adventure of the Blue Carbuncle. Thank you so much for joining us on this mystery. If you enjoyed the story, please consider giving us a follow. We'll see you next time on Baker Street.